My name is Calamus Vetler, and today we're going to go over how to cut quills and discuss the various problems in doing so. In front of me here, we see I've got the 5 main tools that I use when cutting quills, and these are fairly well available. And the first tool that I'm going to pick up here in a second is going to be the black pair of cutters there. Those are dog toenail cutters that we got at a pet store, right there. And these are used for pretty much only the initial cut, and that's about all I do with those. This is just a standard pocket knife, nothing special there, right off the shelf, no big deal. I use that primarily for the second cut. Third item I use here is just a regular X-Acto blade holder. It has a smaller blade. It does not have your standard number 11. You can see it's small, rounded. I use it for some of the more detailed work that we're going to do here in just a minute. This tool is a tool I used for miniature wargaming, for carving, epoxy putty. We use it for cleaning out the inside of the barrel after the cuts are done, cleaning out pith, anything else that we need to clean out from the inside. The round head makes it really easy to get in there and do some detail work and get things done on the inside. Then we have a hone that I use for cleanup at the very end, and we can go over the detailed uses of that because you're going to use that even after you're done cutting the quill. Okay, so now we're going to take the feather and we're going to take a look. We're going to find the top. You can see that it bows from left to right here, and so we know that the top of that bow is the top of what we're going to use for this. Now we're going to take these clippers, we're going to cut against the grain that you would normally expect to cut. We're not going to cut with the forward end being what you would expect to be the forward end for how we're going to end up putting the nib on here. That sets us a reference point that we can use for the rest of the process. So this looks pretty good. There's no crack on the top. We're going to put one in here in a little bit, but we've got a good little divot there to use. Now we're going to take the pocket knife. We're going to go back about an inch, but we're going to use that point that we've got that we just cut in there as our reference to know exactly where the bottom is. Now we're just going to put in here. We're just going to push. We're just going to cut right into it and go straight out. And we're going to get not quite halfway through here, so I went ahead, going to cut a little bit more off. We're trying to get about halfway if we can get halfway. That's the goal. And then there's going to be some pith in there. I'm just going to pull what I can see out. Some people will like to leave that in. Some people will take it out. If you leave it in, you're going to get a little extra reservoir, but it might fall into your ink. If you take it out, you might have a little less reservoir, but it's not going to foul up your ink, and that's kind of a good thing too. So that's something to keep in mind. You can also use this tool that I've got to get in there, pull the rest of it out, which is what I'm going to do here. Just going to get in there, yank all this out, and get rid of it for now. This is more standard. Sometimes I leave it in, sometimes I don't. In this particular case, I went ahead and pulled it out just to make it easier, and most people that are going to show you how to do this is how they're going to do it. So now I'm going to grab the X-Acto blade, and I'm just going to start cutting in the second cuts. So we're going to start about halfway down, and we're going to dig in, and I'm holding it a little weird because I was making the video, so this is not the most comfortable way to do this. But this is generally how I end up doing it, just a lot closer to myself so I can see what I'm doing better. We're going to aim to make this slope go right to the middle point of the cut you made with the clippers, as clear to the middle as you can. We're going to go ahead and point it first. It's okay. We'll cut it back here in just a second. That's why we cut it a little extra long earlier. This is just going to match the other side. We're going to go ahead and cut it in. I'm holding this really weird. This is not how I normally do it. This is how I normally do it. So we flip it over, and you can see it goes a lot faster when I'm pulling it that way. Once I get myself an actual pen knife, I'll be getting one with the normal curve that's designed to be cut towards you, because that's how I do it. I pull cut. It's just what I do. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim this off so that I've got a good reference point for putting the slit in a second. Let's get a piece of cardboard there. No big deal. Now I've got a nice flat bit that I can use to go ahead and put the split in. Now, what I'm going to do for the split, I only want about 1 millimeter or 2, so I'm going to hold my thumbnail as far back as I want it to go. 1.5 millimeters at the most, and then just use the edge of that, cut back, hits the fingernail, we're done. That's all there is to it. Boom. And make sure your knife is nice and sharp when you do that so that you don't slip. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this down on the piece of cardboard. I'm going to angle the knife away from me, drag it back so I can hit it. There we go. Pop up over the edge, and then angle it back down And I think I messed up when I was actually doing this a little bit, but we'll get it in there. We'll push it down. We'll make a nice beveled cut on it. You want the bevel to go away from you. Can't really see it here, but there's a nice little bevel. It's about 45, 60 degrees on that. It stands pretty straight up. It's not a real flat 30. So, but that's good, and then you got it. And that is all there is to actually cutting it. At this point in time, you could use it the way it is, or we can go ahead and fix some more stuff up when you're doing it. I don't know what I was doing in the video there. But you can go in and do some other stuff cleaning it up. Clean up the inside, scrape off the outside, scrape off the skin from the outside, scrape off the skin from the inside. It's actually a little more important to scrape it off from the inside than the outside. I did the outside really well here. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. I did the outside really well when I was filming this video. And as it turns out, all the ink stuck to the outside and none of the ink stuck to the inside. So it came out really fast. And not a lot came up when I pulled it out of the inkwell the first couple times. It just kind of dripped off the inside. So I ended up using the metal piece, the metal carving tool. I went in there and scraped out the inside pretty well, and it held a lot more ink and worked a lot better. You can also get the same effect by scoring it, scoring the inside, just to let it hold more ink and deliver the ink a little bit better. You can also adjust the ink flow by where you cut those shoulders at. I'll give you a little close-up, I think, of that here in just a second. I'm going to show you the inside, what I do with that. I went back and ended up doing more of this after I filmed this, and it worked a lot better. But a lot more of that. Scrape some more out of the inside. Yep, there you go. You can put some score marks in there and get some stuff in there to help deliver the ink. You can do it on the top as well. Doing it on the top honestly doesn't help all that much. You don't get a lot of ink transfer from the top to the tip. You're honestly better off leaving the skin out there if it's shedding the ink, just so that you're not wasting the ink on top of your pen. Make sure you get it on the inside, not the outside. That's something that is really important in the end. What I'm showing you here, inconveniently with the pad of paper behind me there, is here we go. It's a little bit better. The points of those shoulders right there. The further forward you make them with the sharper angle of approach, you're going to have a faster flow of ink. You pull these shoulders back, it's going to make a shallower angle of approach to the tip, and it's going to slow your ink down, but it's also going to make your tip a little less stable and a little more floppy, and it may meander around a little bit more. Okay, the last step, though, after you've got all this stuff cut, you want to clean it up. Just like you would polish a metal nib occasionally, you can also polish these, and that is what the diamond stone is for. So what I'll do after I do this, I think I overdid it a little bit when I was recording this. I'll have to take a look here in just a second. I start with the 400 grit normally on this. Just rub it back and forth a little bit. When I did this on this, I actually ended up rounding the tip, and I had to go back and recut it. You'll see that in a second. But you just basically flatten the bottom. You can also do this with your knife, and I'll show that, point that out in here in just a minute. But you want to flatten the bottom so that you're not writing with a curve that's only the two sides. Yeah, this was me discovering, oh, hey, I overdid that. You don't want to write with the tip where the two sides are all that's touching. You want it to be flat on the bottom. So you kind of grind it down. You can use 200, 400, whatever you're comfortable with. And then you flip it over, and that's still flat. I didn't have to even cut that much, but you can also scrape the bottom with a flat knife as well. That's perfectly fine. And then you can't really see my hands in the way, but you polish this up at a 60-ish degree angle or whatever to put a good smooth bevel on it. What you're going to find out is 200 grit's going to make the ink go faster. 400 grit's going to slow down your ink. 600 will slow it down a lot more. The deeper micro grooves caused by the different grits will flow ink at a faster or slower rate. If you use a 200 on that bevel, you're going to actually pull a little bit more ink off of the top of the outside of the barrel than you would if you used a 400 or 600. And again, how you flatten it on the inside. My test here wasn't too terribly good because I hadn't discovered some stuff and it was flat. You're much better off doing these tests on an angle board or whatever angle you're going to work with. I work at a 45 to 60 degree angle, so me doing a flat test was kind of useless for me, and lo and behold, when I did it, a lot of the ink just came right out. Not a huge surprise because I don't use this ink at this angle. I went ahead and did some more tests after this, and they turned out a whole lot better. And I'll go over that in the text that I'm going to put on this as well, and we'll go over that then. I'll show some pictures of what the quill finally looked like. But that's all. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. And hopefully I'll have some more videos for you on more calligraphy stuff later. Thank you.